how did you select the site for your vineyard in '96?
So, as I said, we spent a few years before that actually researching what made great vineyards in the world. And one of the things that was really interesting was that it didn't matter if it was in Sicily or whether it was in Burgundy. It's not, limestone isn't the real absolute. What it is stone, rock. And so all the best vineyards in the world have some basis in the geology. You know, it's rocky. You know, maybe it's granite, or maybe it's limestone, or maybe it's schist. It doesn't matter. It has to be stone of some sort. So that was one thing. The second thing that's really important is to have the right climate. And one of the things we're very lucky in where we are in Geelong is that we have a very, very cool climate. And we mix that with really interesting soil types. So we have both volcanic soils as well as soils from limestone. So that was what drew us to that area. And it took us quite a long time to find the right piece of land. You don't have the right aspect and everything else. But when we did find it, we found out that that site had been a vineyard in the 1870s. So we had rediscovered a vineyard, and it had all of the old equipment sitting in the old sheds, which is pretty interesting for me.
But Ray, if one goes back to the history of wine production in Australia, especially in the 50s, there were a lot of rebate given for people to pull out the vine stock, isn't it? So how come this particular vineyard which you uncovered are still with their old...
No, they weren't.
They were pulled out?
They were all pulled out. So they all pulled out in the 1900s. So it only existed between the 1870s and the 1900s, and after that it was all pulled out. So when I got there, there was nothing. And so I had rediscovered it.
It was a farmland?
It was just farmland. I had rediscovered it based on the geological maps, not based on the fact that it was a vineyard. I didn't know.
There were vineyards there?
I didn't know. So I came there and I actually talked to the farmer that owned the land, and I said, could I buy this land? It fits with all the things I'm looking for. And he said, what do you want to grow on it? And I said, I want to grow vines. And he said, my great-great-grandfather planted vines on here. And he showed me all the records, and he said...
And this was a Maeta?
This is where the Mieta and the Indra is, and the Hugo. So,
and what was the original name for Mieta? Is it an Italian name or Aboriginal?
It's Mieta is Italian.
Italian.
So, yeah.
So it was by Italian land farmers.
Well, no, they were Swiss actually, Swiss French.
Swiss French.
Yeah, Swiss French.
Not
yeah.
Huguenots.
They could have been. I'm not sure.
All the Huguenots went to South Australia.
Yeah, and also South Africa. So so South Africa too.
Oh, if they're South Africa, very likely to be Huguenots.
Yeah, it could have been. It could have been. They were named with their names were pre-Dissat. So it sounds quite Dissat. It sounds so it sounds like it would be a Huguenot name.
So this was a few generations.
Quite a few, yeah.
When you met up with them.
And they hadn't had vines in there for nearly 100 years, you know. So it was quite interesting that when we came back, there was still the old equipment sitting there. And then when we wanted to plant it, you know, they were very happy for us to replant vines.
So what is the size of the vineyard?
So that parcel is 35 acres. So it's not a very big vineyard. But, you know, we've decided to take a much more Burgundian approach to winemaking. We're not trying to have just one big parcel and we grow everything. That's not how it is. We have a 35-acre vineyard that grows mainly Pinot, Chardonnay and Shiraz, a little bit of Sangiovese. And then we have another vineyard that grows just Pinot, another vineyard that just grows Chardonnay.
That's Bannockburn?
Bannockburn grows Pinot.
Okay.
And then we have another vineyard at Suma Park which just grows, actually that grows Pinot and Chardonnay. We have another vineyard that just grows Chardonnay. And then we have another vineyard that just grows Shiraz. So it's all to do with making sure the vineyards are matched to the soil and the climate.
Right. And all these vineyards come under the Leithbridge name.
Yep.
So how do you decide on the name Leithbridge?
That's the town. So the town is called Leithbridge. So it was funny, you know, because we spent ages trying to think of a name for the wine. It's about a year, you know. So we said, we came up with all these names, and then we went, there's this sign that says, you know, Leithbridge 12 kilometres. We'll take that.
So did you get approval from the town council?
It's no problem. You can't, anyone can call, if you live in that town, you can call it Leithbridge. So we've got Leithbridge wines. So if someone wanted to have another place called Leithbridge Vineyard, they could, or they could have Leithbridge Estate. That's fine too.
But Leithbridge wine
Wines
belongs to you.
to me. Yeah.
Okay.
So
who is together with you in Leithbridge?
So there's myself, my wife, and then we have a friend of ours who we went to university with, who's also a partner, but we bought him out in the last few years. So, but he was an integral part at the start. It's a project of passion, so it was nice to share it with friends. The first vineyards, when we planted our vineyards, were all planted by all our friends. So it's a vineyard that's completely planted by people with PhDs. It was kind of bizarre.
Wow! Wow! This must be the most